Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive deep into one of the most daring and impactful moments of the war in Ukraine, the bold strike on the Crimean Bridge that shook Russia's military confidence and disrupted one of its most critical supply routes. This bridge, often called the crown jewel of Russia's occupation in Crimea, is not just a physical structure but a symbol of Moscow's control and its ability to connect mainland Russia with the annexed peninsula. Built at massive cost and declared untouchable by the Kremlin, it became both a strategic lifeline and a target too tempting for Ukraine to ignore. What makes this strike so significant is not only the damage inflicted but the broader consequences it carries for logistics, morale, and the larger theater of war. Looking at the exterior, the Crimean Bridge stretches proudly across the Kerch Strait, spanning around 19 kilometers and serving as both a road and rail link. Its size and design were meant to send a message to the world: permanence of Russia's grip on Crimea. Constructed with reinforced steel arches and heavy pylons, the bridge was promoted as an engineering marvel capable of withstanding environmental challenges and potential threats. Yet from the outside, it also represented a bottleneck, a single artery feeding Russia's vast war machine in southern Ukraine. By striking at the bridge, Ukraine demonstrated that no matter how formidable the exterior might appear, vulnerabilities remained hidden beneath the surface. The boldness of targeting such a highly protected asset exposed how appearances of invincibility can quickly collapse under precision and planning. Turning briefly to the interior, the bridge's internal framework was designed with layered reinforcements, tunnels of steel trusses, and tightly monitored checkpoints along the road and rail lines. Inside its operation, Russia had installed surveillance systems, military patrols, and even anti-drone defenses to secure the flow of goods and soldiers. But despite these interior safeguards, the reality was that all it took was one well-planned strike to compromise its entire functionality. Ukraine's ability to pierce through these layers showed that even the strongest internal defenses can crumble when faced with innovation and determination. When we examine the performance of the bridge and its role during the conflict, it becomes clear why this strike was so devastating for Russia. For years, the bridge performed as the central artery of supply, transporting fuel, ammunition, armored vehicles, and reinforcements into Crimea and onward into southern Ukraine. Its performance allowed Russian forces to maintain their foothold in Kherson and Zaporizhia. Yet the moment it was struck, that performance collapsed. Convoys were disrupted, military schedules thrown into disarray, and the Russian command forced to reroute supplies through longer, riskier paths. The strike did not just damage steel and concrete, it damaged efficiency, slowed operations, and forced Moscow to confront the limits of its military logistics. Performance, once steady and reliable, was suddenly rendered chaotic and unpredictable. When we think of safety features, it is striking to note how Russia believed the bridge was safeguarded beyond the reach of Ukrainian attacks. Naval patrols guarded the waters below, air defenses scanned the skies above, and armored checkpoints monitored traffic across. Russia treated the bridge as one of the most secure infrastructures under its control, confident that no adversary could penetrate these safety layers. But Ukraine's strike shattered that perception of safety. Whether it came through explosive-laden vehicles, drones, or missiles, the fact that the bridge was hit so effectively proved that Russia's protective measures were far weaker than advertised. The safety features may have been intimidating on paper, but in practice they failed to prevent the very kind of attack they were designed to stop. That failure is not just tactical, it is psychological, undermining Russian confidence in its own defenses. The unique selling points of the Crimean Bridge were always about symbolism and control. For Russia, it was more than just infrastructure, it was a political statement, proof that Crimea was permanently bound to Moscow. It was the pride of Putin's vision, celebrated in ceremonies and propaganda, even appearing in films and state media as the ultimate achievement of Russian engineering. For Ukraine, however, those same selling points turned the bridge into a bullseye. Its uniqueness made it an ideal target because damaging it meant damaging Russia's pride, propaganda, and the illusion of permanence. Ukraine's strike transformed those unique selling points into liabilities. The very features Russia promoted, the scale, the symbolism, the centrality, ensured that hitting the bridge would send shockwaves far beyond the battlefield. It became not just a military success, but a blow to Russian prestige and an inspiring moment for Ukraine and its allies. When we talk about price, the Crimean Bridge represents staggering costs. Built at an estimated $3.7 billion, it was one of the most expensive projects in Russia's modern history. That price was justified by the Kremlin as an investment in strategic dominance and long-term security. But with one strike, Ukraine demonstrated how fragile that investment really was. Suddenly, billions of dollars in concrete and steel were turned into rubble and repair bills. The cost of rebuilding and maintaining the bridge under threat is immense, not only financially but politically. Russia now faces the price of rerouted logistics, higher risks to its supply lines, and the ongoing vulnerability of an asset it once considered untouchable. Meanwhile, the price Ukraine paid to execute this strike was minimal compared to the massive damage inflicted. In warfare, asymmetric costs can redefine the balance of power, and this attack is a perfect example. In conclusion, Ukraine's bold strike on the Crimean Bridge was more than just an attack on infrastructure, it was a direct hit on Russia's confidence, supply chain, and symbolism of control. The exterior might have looked indestructible, but its weaknesses were exposed. The interior defenses, no matter how layered, proved ineffective. Its performance as a supply route collapsed in the aftermath, and its safety features failed at the most critical moment. The unique selling points that made it a source of pride turned into reasons for its vulnerability, and the colossal price Russia invested is now overshadowed by the damage and disruption caused. What this strike shows is that in modern warfare, even the most fortified assets are not beyond reach, and psychological victories can be just as important as physical ones. Ukraine's message was clear: no bridge, no symbol, no claim of invincibility can go unchallenged. The Crimean Bridge now stands as a reminder that strength is not just in concrete and steel, but in adaptability, strategy, and the will to resist. This bold strike will continue to echo in the months ahead, reshaping strategies, forcing Russia to rethink its defenses, and inspiring Ukraine's allies with proof of what determination and precision can achieve. It was not only a strike on a bridge, it was a strike on an empire's illusion of control.